Hi all, today we are going to discuss about static characteristics lecture number 2. So first let us start with the threshold and the resolution. So threshold, when the input of an instrument is increased gradually from 0, the minimum value below which no output change can be detected. That is called as threshold of an instrument. So it can be caused by the backlash or due to the internal noise. So by just seeing the statement it will be not clear. Let us take one example so that the concept of the threshold will be clear to you. So I am taking the example. In a car, speedometer typically has a threshold of about 15 kilometers per hour, because if you see your car or the bike, so minimum reading what it can measure after 0, there will be some value like 15 kilometers or 20 kilometers, some minimum value will be there. So suddenly it will change from 0 to that value. In between there will be no value. The meaning of this is, if the vehicle starts from 0, no output is observed in the speedometer until the speed reaches that value. That means it cannot measure some range of the speed between 0 to some minimum value. So that is called as threshold of the instrument. So like for example, if you are taking the digital system, in the digital system, threshold is the input signal necessary to cause the least significant digit of the output reading to change. At least the output reading will change from 0 to some value, at least in the least significant digit. What is the minimum value of the input for which the digital display will change, at least in the LSD? That is called as threshold of the instrument. So let us now go to resolution, then we will compare them. So resolution is also called as a discrimination. So in this case, because in the case of threshold we are starting from the 0 and gradually increasing, whereas in the case of resolution we don't start from 0, we start from the arbitrary non-zero value. That means when the input to the instrument is increased slowly from some arbitrary non-zero value, the smallest increment of input quantity to which the measuring system will respond, that is called as resolution, or it is also called as a discrimination. How much your instrument can discriminate the change in the input. So that is called as a discrimination or resolution of the instrument. Or we can try to compare with the threshold. Threshold defines the smallest measurable input. That means what is the minimum value of the input starting from 0 we can measure, that is called as a threshold, while the resolution defines the smallest measurable input change. What is the smallest measurable change in the input quantity? So that is called as resolution. Both the threshold and the resolution are generally expressed either in the absolute values or as a percentage of full scale value. So further, to understand the concept clearly, I am taking one example so that it will be clear to you. Determine the resolution of a moving coil voltmeter having a uniform scale with 50 divisions. That means if you are taking the scale of this instrument, so starting from here to here, total there are 50 divisions are there. Total there are 50 divisions. The full scale reading is 100 volts. The meaning is here it is mentioned as 0 volts. Here it is mentioned as 100 volts. In between the number of divisions that are there are total 50 divisions are there. That is what is mentioned. Then the full scale reading is 100 volts and 1/10th of the scale division can be estimated. So between these two divisions up to 1/10th of the value, that means it can be further divided up to 1/10th of the value, the whichever observer is operating it, so they can easily differentiate up to 1/10th of the scale division can be estimated with a fair degree of accuracy. So in that case, what is the resolution? So we can tell that one scale division will be equal to, so upper limit is 100 volts, so lower limit is 0. That means the total span is 100 divided by 50. Upper limit minus lower limit divided by total, how many divisions are there? 50 divisions are there. 100 by 50, this is equal to 2 volts. That means each division indicates as a 2 volts. So let us calculate the resolution. So resolution, it is mentioned that I can measure up to 1/10th of a division. So it will be 1/10 times of 2. So this will be equal to 0.2 volts. So resolution of this instrument is 0.2 volts. So resolution is actually, it is the smallest change in the input that can be measured at your output. That is called as resolution. Getting it? So let us proceed further. static sensitivity and deflection factor. There is also some confusing thing, so let us try to clarify that. Static sensitivity is the ratio of infinitesimal change in the output divided by infinitesimal change in the output. So when the input is changed, how the output will change, that is given by the static sensitivity. So if you are taking, let us assume the case of a linear curve, that means when the input is changed, the output quantity is also changing linearly. Input I am representing by Qi, output I am representing by Q naught. So the slope of this curve indicates the sensitivity. Slope is nothing but change in y-axis by change in x-axis. What is y-axis? Delta Q naught, and x-axis will be delta Qi. That's why it will be equal to delta Q naught by delta Qi. That indicates the static sensitivity. So it is nothing but the slope of the calibration curve at a particular point where you want to find the sensitivity factor, where you want to find the sensitivity of the instrument. So this curve always may not be linear. So let us take the case of non-linear curve. In the case of non-linear curve, the slope at every point goes on changing. You can see the slope at this point is different. Delta Qo1 divided by delta Qi1 is different. Then delta Qo2 divided by delta Qi2. These both are different. That means the slope goes on changing for the case of non-linear curve. So automatically the value of this sensitivity is also different at different points. So there is one more term called as inverse sensitivity. The name itself is telling it is inverse of the sensitivity, or it is also called as a deflection factor. So deflection factor is the change in the input divided by change in the output. It is just opposite to sensitivity. And sometimes when you are seeing the instruments, generally this inverse sensitivity and sensitivity, that means the deflection factor and sensitivity are used interchangeably sometimes in the instruments. So no need to confuse that. Actual value of the sensitivity means it is change in output by change in input, but in practice sometimes they use the deflection factor as a sensitivity also. They just mention like that on the scale. So let us take some example to clarify this, then we will proceed further. So in a Wheatstone bridge, a change of 5 ohms in the unknown arm of the bridge is required. That means 5 ohms is the input, is required to produce a change in the deflection of 2.8 mm of the galvanometer. It is telling that when the input, here the input is a resistance, when the resistance is changed by 5 ohms, then in that case your output is changed by 2.8 mm. So it is asked to determine the sensitivity and deflection factor. Sensitivity and deflection factor. So how to calculate? Let us calculate the sensitivity. So what is the sensitivity? Sensitivity is the change in the output divided by change in the input. What is the change in the input? 2.8 divided by 5. This will be equal to 0.56 mm per ohm, because output is in mm, input is in ohm. So let us calculate the input sensitivity or deflection factor. So deflection factor is inverse or opposite to the sensitivity. That means it is 5 divided by 2.8. This will be 1.7857. The units will be ohms per mm. This is a ratio of input by output. Getting it? So let us proceed further. There is another term which we commonly use, that is called as stiction. So stiction means it is nothing but the static friction. Stiction means static friction, because I told you static means when you are gradually changing your input from 0, at what point your pointer will start moving. So that is indicated by the static friction, or we can define in some other sense, it is a force or torque that is necessary just to initiate motion from the rest. That means it is the minimum force or torque required so that your pointer will move from the 0 value. That means when you are moving from 0, gradually increasing, after some value only your pointer will start moving. So that is due to the static friction mainly. So that static friction is also called as stiction. It is simply called as stiction. So let us proceed. Dead zone and dead time. So first let us start with the dead time. The name itself is telling the dead time. For some time it is not operating. So it is a time required by a measuring system to begin to respond to a change in the measurement. So this is called as the dead time. That is, it is a time taken by the instrument to respond to a change in the measurement. So to explain the dead time, let us take one characteristic here. So let us assume my measurand or the input quantity is changed like this. So in the y-axis I am representing measurand in percentage 0 to 100% of the reading, and x-axis I am taking the time with respect to the time. let us assume your input quantity is changed from point A to point C. That means it is varied from the percentage measurand of A to up to the 100%. So whenever it starts changing, immediately the output will not change. That means even if the input is changed, the output will not change. It will take some time to respond. So the how much time it will take to respond to this input, the maximum time that it takes is called as the dead time. So initially it takes the more time because of the friction. So you can see this point AB. When the input is started changing from A, it will respond after some dead time. So from point B, you can see it is gradually growing. So as the value of the measurand is increasing, that means once the friction is avoided, so automatically the dead time is the maximum possible time, right? So then the time between the instant of the measurand changed and the how your output will display the same value, that is called as measurement lag. That means let us assume your input become equal to J. Then your output will reach J after how much time? After this value, that means Jk. This much duration it will take to reach that value. Similarly, when the input reaches 100%, let us assume 100% is equal to point C. So the time taken for this instrument to show that reading will be CD. That much time it will take to respond. So it will go on gradually decreasing. I hope that dead time is completely clear to you. So when the input is suddenly changed, it cannot respond immediately. So it will gradually change. It will take some time to respond. So that is called as dead time. So second one is called as the dead zone. Dead zone means once the input start changing, the output will not change until some minimum value of the input change is there. That means if you are changing the input from A to C, the output will not change until the input changes to F. You can see when the input changed from A to F, in that much time the output will start responding. That means from A to F, this much input there is change before the output will respond. So that is given by the dead zone. So this area, that means AFB, we represent by the dead zone, or the change in the input quantity, that means maximum change in the input quantity for which the output will not respond. So that is called as the dead zone. So that I am defining now. So before proceeding, let us discuss other things also, then we will proceed. So this is my instrument reading, this BD is my instrument reading and AC is my measurand value, and when the input reaches or the measurand reaches 100%, what is the value of the output of the instrument at that instant? So that is called as the dynamic error of the instrument. That means dynamically when the input changed from 0 to 100%, what will be the change in the output by that time, in that time? So that is called as the dynamic error. That means by the time it reaches C, in that time the output reaches only H. This is called as dynamic error. So let us proceed further with these basics. So dead zone, it is also called as a dead space or dead band. It is also called as dead space or dead band. So the dead zone is the largest change of the input quantity for which there is no output of the instrument. Example, the input applied to an instrument may not be sufficient to overcome the friction and hence output will not change until the input crosses some limit. So that we indicate by the term called as dead zone or the dead span. So dead zone can be due to either stiction, that means static friction, or it can be due to the backlash, or it can be due to hysteresis. So practically all the elastic mechanical elements, because even if you take the electrical instruments, the spring will be used there for providing the controlling torque. So wherever the elastic mechanical elements are used as the primary transducers, so they exhibit the effect of the hysteresis, creep and elastic after effects to some extent. So these things we are going to discuss when you discuss the respective instruments. So then let us try to clarify this dead zone once again. The dead zone is defined as the total range of the input values possible for a given output. That means for a given value of the output, for which different values of the input, what is a band of the change in the input values, the same output will be given. So that is called as the dead zone. This is the second definition of the dead zone, and it is numerically equal to twice the value of the hysteresis. So what is hysteresis, how it is twice the value, I am going to discuss in the next definition just within 3-4 minutes. So let us take one example on this dead space, then we will go to the hysteresis, then we will discuss about this definition. So I am proceeding with the example. The dead space in a certain pyrometer is 0.2% of the span. the calibration is 500 degrees centigrade to 1500 degrees centigrade. Determine the temperature change that might occur before it is detected. So it is mentioned 0.2 percentage of the span, right? So that's why first you have to know the span. What is the span? Span is nothing but the upper limit minus lower limit. We have already discussed this in last class. So 1500 minus 500, the span is 1000 degrees centigrade. So dead space will be equal to 0.2 percentage of the span. So 0.2 divided by 100 to convert to the normal value. So multiplied by span, span is 1000. So it will be 2 degrees centigrade. That means thus a change of 2 degrees centigrade must occur before it can be detected. So only if this much change is there, then it can detect when you are starting from the 0. So now let us proceed further. The term hysteresis. So hysteresis is a non-coincidence of loading and unloading curves. That means when you are changing your input quantity from 0 to some maximum value, again come back to the 0 value. So if you are getting some curve when you are varying from 0 to the maximum value, let us see the curve to understand it. I am starting from the 0. Let us assume the input and output relationships are like this. When the input is gradually increased from 0, so the output is gradually changed in this manner. But you reach the peak value when you are unloading or decreasing your input from maximum to 0 value, but output will not follow this curve. It will follow some different curve. So that is called as hysteresis. So hysteresis is a phenomena which depicts different output effects when the loading and unloading, whether it can be a mechanical system or an electrical system or any other system. So there will be different value of output effects during the loading for a given value of input during loading and during unloading, both will be different, or they are also called as upscale and downscale. When you are increasing gradually, it is called as the upscale, I have mentioned here, and when you are decreasing the value, then it is also called as the downscale in some books. So why it arises? It arises due to the fact that all the energy put into the stressed parts when loading is not recoverable upon unloading. You have seen the same thing in the case of magnetic materials also in basic electrical engineering. In the case of magnetic materials, so electromagnetic materials, when you are magnetizing it, it will follow some curve, and during the demagnetization, it will not follow the same curve. And let us assume if their input is changing both in the positive direction as well as negative direction. That means your input is changing in the positive direction. You can see the arrow is going upwards. Like let us assume that I am starting from 0, O. Gradually the input is increased, it will reach the point A, the output. So then the input is gradually decreased to 0, output will not be equal to 0. So output will be equal to OB when the input is reached 0. Now let us assume input is gradually decreased and it reaches to the negative value. There will be some minimum value of the negative value of the input at which your output will become equal to 0. So after that, if you gradually again go on increasing the negative direction of the input, then your output will follow some curve. Now let us assume again the input is gradually made positive. From the negative value, it is brought to 0. It will not follow the same curve, it will follow some other curve. Again, the value of the output will be 0. Output will be 0 at some positive value of the input. Output will not be 0 when the input is equal to 0. You can see here when input reached 0, the output is still equal to OE. So it will reach 0 when we reach the point F. And gradually when we increase, again we will reach the point A. Or in a general, we can tell the BH characteristic will be like this. We have seen in magnetic materials. So in this case, the maximum change, you can see for the 0 output, so the output is 0 when the input is equal to OF also and when the input is equal to OC also. That means you are giving the negative input as well as you are giving positive input. This entire band for which the output will be 0, the both sides, that is called as dead space or the dead zone. I have discussed it previously. So that is called as the dead space or dead zone, and the maximum change, that is called as maximum input hysteresis. Maximum input hysteresis indicates the maximum value of the input required for where the output will be equal to 0. So you can see the output is equal to 0 for 0 to F, OF of the input. So let us assume OF is greater than OC. That's why I am taking this as maximum input hysteresis. If OF is equal to OC, that means OF is equal to OC, both directions it is same, then we can tell that the dead space or the dead zone is equal to 2 times of the input hysteresis. It is clear? So similarly, the value of the output when the input is equal to 0, the maximum value of the output when the input is equal to 0, that is called as the maximum output hysteresis. This is my maximum output hysteresis. This is OB here. Getting it? So now I am proceeding. Generally, these are not defined as the absolute values. They are defined as a ratio of the full scale of respective values. Let us take for example, input hysteresis will be equal to maximum input hysteresis divided by full scale input. Because we are discussing about input hysteresis, we have to divide with full scale input multiplied by 100. So in this example, if you take it, maximum input hysteresis is equal to OF here. So OF divided by full scale input. Full scale input will be O2H you are varying. So OH multiplied by 100. Similarly, output hysteresis will be maximum output hysteresis divided by full scale output into 100. Maximum output hysteresis here is OB, and the maximum output that can occur is at this point A. When you extend it, you will get it as a G. So this is OB divided by OG into 100. So similarly, dead zone or dead space here is equal to CF. So I hope up to here it is clear to you. So next class we will discuss about the remaining terms of the errors. So I hope everything is clear up to now. If you still have any queries, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. I will answer to your queries from there. Thank you. Thank you very much.